Welcome to Carlisle for a 2-steam train weekend and a weather forecast which is anyone's guess. The Lakelander is due from Hereford today, scheduled to be hauled by 61306 Mayflower. It will be returning by the Cumbrian coast, where I'd love to film it, but will the weather permit it? I know it's not Mayflower. I heard an hour or so ago that the B1 had been replaced by Blue Peter. But who's complaining? Not me. Tail lamps. The whole train is heading for Upperby. After all the recent rain, the risk of line-side fires must be minimal. So why 2 diesels? With a train consisting entirely of Mark I stock, there's no need of even 1 box on the back. Blue Peter is a powerful machine, more than capable of handling that load. Off to Upperby to service and water Blue Peter and top up the water tanks of the carriages before turning the train and bringing it back into the station for the return trip. But I'm gambling on the weather and heading for Corkickle in the hope of filming Blue Peter emerging from the tunnel. I take an earlier train than necessary and break my journey at Whitehaven.
He's got the light now, so it's clear.
This is where the coastal route becomes single track for the 11 miles to Sellafield. The driver has to obtain a token to authorise his entry into this section. He telephones the signalman at Branstey Box, who releases the token from the cabinet on the platform. I've drawn attention in previous videos to the tomato soup dock here at Whitehaven. This water has drained via the tunnel from old mine workings. Investigation is now urgently needed, as so much water is lying in the tunnel that a 20 miles per hour speed limit has been imposed.
So I'm ready to grab this and board the train. Hardly worth sitting down for where we're going.
This is the train that I'll be taking for the just less than 1 mile trip to Corkickle, at the opposite end of the tunnel. Hard to believe that this tiny little unmanned station was, in its heyday, an important junction. The train I arrived on passed this Carlisle-bound train at St. Bees, next stop along the route, and a passing place. The tunnel is so narrow that even 158 units are not permitted on this route. Previous generations of train had to have bars fitted to any windows which could be opened. Decapitation was a real danger.
I just want it coming out with tunnel fucking a bit of smoke. That's all I want. Should have it.
I set up my kit outside the station entrance and prepare to launch the drone.
Chop it out of the wires. Do we need hard hats on here? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Right, I think I'm going to get in a position there, Tim.
Okay, good luck.
For some of the locals, the drone is more interesting than the railway. A long wait ensues. I'm unable to check on the progress of the train whilst flying the drone, and not all of the signalmen along this coast route are as prompt in reporting train movements as I might wish. None of the locals on the platform seem to have any knowledge of how to follow its progress, so I have to simply watch and wait until the drone's battery reaches so low a level that I have no option but to land it and hastily install a fresh battery. You can guess what happens. I've barely got the drone off the ground when I hear Blue Peter's whistle.
Wow.
60532 is the only survivor of a class of 15 locomotives designed by Arthur Peppercorn for the London and North Eastern Railway, but came into service in 1948 under the newly nationalised British Railways. Following LNER tradition, it was named after a famous racehorse, owned by the 6th Earl of Rosebery, which won its owner enough to buy 3 of these locomotives.
Nearest with nobody treads on it.
Something we can put on with the Glenkeys can't quite.
But it's just catching it going past you.
Oh, well.
You know, you can't stand back far enough.
The train now heads for the valley between the hills to the right of the picture. leading to St. Bees, whose station is a passing place where the driver must hand in the token he obtained at Whitehaven and receive another authorising him to proceed to Sellafield, beyond which the line is double-tracked.
I was sort of half trying to watch without looking at the camera. All you have people ever do is look at their devices, isn't it? Yeah, I know. You miss what's actually happening.
As the drone returns to the station, I thought I was looking at the Isle of Man, but of course it's not. It's the Galloway coast of Scotland, which we couldn't see on our outward train journey. Visibility is improving. And so, pack up the kit and catch the next train back to Carlisle, where I'll be spending the night, as another steam charter is due in the border city tomorrow, Sunday. It's completely impossible for me to get to Carlisle by public transport on a Sunday, so an overnight stay is the only option. The test train, having arrived from Derby just as I got here, is now heading for Darlington via the Tyne Valley route. Peteril Bridge Junction, where the Settle and Carlisle line leaves the Newcastle and Carlisle Railway's Tyne Valley route. And here comes the railway touring company's The Waverley from York, hauled from Hellifield over Aysgill by 60163 Tornado. And so into the station where the train is standing in platform 4.
The next train to arrive at platform 3 will be the 14:55 Atlantic West Coast service to Glasgow.
Yesterday, the entire charter train was hauled down to Upperby for servicing and reversing. I had assumed the same would take place today. I was wrong, however, and found myself in the wrong position to film Tornado making its way down the centre road.
Stop here. Please stand very clear of the engine. Platform 4.
And now 47826 makes its way to the other end of the train. Northern Rail's smart, newly refurbished Northumbrian sets off. Watered, serviced and reversed, Tornado returns to take up duty. Railway travel was glamorous in the steam age, but dirty.
Imagine back in the heyday of steam, you could have 7 or 8 of those just at this central area, all pumping that muck out.
Yeah.
Railway travel was filthy in those days. I'm old enough to remember it.
I think it was the London Underground that used to run on steam at the start as well.
It did, yes, but that wasn't the deep tubes, of course. That was just the sort of the inner circle area. But yes, you can imagine what that must have been like.
Yeah.
Mile or so down there.
I can't imagine it was too many.
There we go.
As the Waverley heads back to York, I must prepare for a Sunday journey home. No buses from Dumfries, so a taxi. An immigrant driver who didn't know the area, a major road closure leading to a lengthy diversion and exorbitant fare, and all after an overnight stay so horrendous I could write a book about it. On that happy note, thanks for watching, and here's to the next time.